Hello. All right, so we are going to try to follow that. For those of you who aren't here before, my name is Anthony Ha. I am a writer for TechCrunch. And what we're going to be talking about now is Wi-Fi, which is something that's incredibly important. But as you probably know, sometimes it's not so great around the home. One of the companies that's trying to fix that is eero. So with us, we have Nick Weaver, the founder and CEO of eero. Please join me. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So for people who don't know, what is like the 30-second pitch for what eero does?
Yeah, eero is this really simple whole home Wi-Fi system. So instead of having one router in the corner of your house, you have a few of our units plugged in everywhere. They mesh together, and you end up having perfect Wi-Fi coverage, in every corner of your home, whether it's in your kitchen, upstairs in your bedroom, or even outside.
So how does this compare to just sort of like hacking something together? Like, all right, I'll just put like a router in like different parts of my house.
Yeah, that's what I did initially. That was the pre-alpha version of eero. Some things you run into if you try to build this system yourself. It's really hard to do roaming, really hard to do handoffs. Performance is poor. So all of this is, we tune all the pieces, make sure you have a really seamless experience. It's super simple and easy to set up. You can give it to your parents, and they'll be able to set it up in a couple minutes. It's really the easiest solution out there.
And when did you put your first model up for sale?
So the company got started in the beginning of 2014, and we started shipping product in February of 2016. So been in the market a little less than a year.
So how has that year gone?
It's blown away all of our expectations. We started shipping. We did a pre-order the previous February in 2015. So this year, or last year, we started shipping to all of our pre-order customers. We're live on Amazon. This summer, we started rolling out to Best Buy. We're now in all their stores across the country. It's been really exciting to see. And in terms of just awareness, both of what is a Wi-Fi system and what is eero, I mean, this year has been incredibly fun. Just in the last month, we were featured in the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times. We were on the Ellen Show, live with Kelly, and the best Christmas present was being on Good Morning America on Christmas Day.
Does that mean you had to work on Christmas?
There are a number of us glued to their laptops. It is well worth it.
So I imagine you can't give us exact figures, but can you say anything about how many you've actually sold?
We're still like wrapping up the year, so yeah, nothing specific today.
But you're happy with it. You're feeling good.
Really happy with it.
One of the other things that's sort of flattering is I think that now, as you said, that you've introduced this concept, and now there are a bunch of other companies that have tried to do something, at least elements of what you guys are doing. So as that happens, I mean, I think with Wi-Fi routers now, I think we're at the point where people don't necessarily think a lot about the system that they're using. How do you keep that from happening in this sort of new version of Wi-Fi?
Yeah, to us, stopping at just Wi-Fi, that's not what we built this company for. Really, it's all about enabling, the connected home, and making the first stepping point is making sure you have great ubiquitous connectivity, and that's what our product allows you to do. But then, as you think about it, the only way to really improve our homes is once it's connected, then you can start measuring it, and once it's measurable, then you can improve it. And so what we've done is we've built all this data infrastructure to process what's happening on every eero network. So that's allowed us to do things like we rolled out a brand new mesh networking standard, True Mesh. We rolled that out in November using all of that data. We'll have more and more features like that coming out that's harnessing that data set. A good analogy there is look what Tesla's been able to do with the data set they have around their autopilot system. We're trying to do the same thing for people's home networks and all the other connected devices in their home.
So I mean, something that you're talking about in terms of using the data is basically just is still Wi-Fi related, but it's about making it better.
It's about rapid product improvement.
Right. So I mean, what are some of the other ways that you think you could use the data to improve the connected home?
Yeah. So things around device connectivity, how well the devices stay connected, how strong is their signal, how often are they joining and rejoining. What devices might be behaving poorly, either targeting malicious sites or just causing overload on the network. So being able to have that data set allows you to look at how these networks are performing and then react really quickly.
Do you find that the people who use eero are the ones who are early adopters who have a ton of connected devices in their home already?
That's definitely where we started. But as 2016 progressed, especially through the holidays, it's definitely a mainstream product where people with homes with 10 connected devices are just as likely to use it as people with 30 or 40.
So, but 10 is, you think, like kind of the normal, like?
Well, if you have a family of four,
Right.
everyone has a phone. You got a computer, maybe an Echo. One thing we saw that over the holiday season was, Echo was the gift to have. The number of Echoes that were added to eero networks like blew everything else out of the water.
Right, and that's part of what I was getting at was less, is everyone who uses eero a nerd? Although I'm always kind of curious about that too. But more like you must have like an interesting insight into seeing how connected even sort of techie homes are becoming.
Yeah, I mean the transition's definitely there. Most homes now have a couple of connected devices that aren't phones, tablets, computers. And it'll be really interesting to see how that evolves through 2018 and beyond.
How connected is your home?
I believe I have 22 devices connected right now, and no one's home. If my wife and I are both home, usually somewhere around 30.
And they all have a very strong eero connection.
Yes, great coverage everywhere.
So, I mean, I wanted to go back to a little bit about what the actual setup is like for eero, because I would imagine that part of getting good coverage is that it depends on where the routers are being placed, and so how much of that is what is the installation process like? Do you just send people the routers, or do you actually go in and install them yourselves?
Yeah, it's all done done on your own, so do it yourself. So what you do is you buy your eero system either at our website, at Amazon, at Best Buy, or with any of our other retail partners. You pull the box out, you plug the first one into your cable or DSL modem just with an Ethernet cord. And then the other units, you plug into power, they boot up, you use your phone to set them up, and we'll give you instructions like you actually need to change the placement here so you have a stronger signal, and we walk you through that flow.
I guess because you have like very easy sort of feedback to figure out if it's working or not, just in terms of like how strong the signal is, basically.
Yep, and we run some speed tests and diagnostics between the eeros as they're getting set up. That's what's great about having the cloud controller too. Is all that information hits our cloud, and we're able to keep improving that setup experience.
You also brought up the Amazon Echo, and I know you guys announced Alexa integration last fall. I mean, first of all, like, what does that actually mean? Like, what does Alexa integration bring you?
Yeah, it lets you interact with your network. Like setting a guest network and setting up some of those features. The most noteworthy one, though, and this is the one that I love, we've gotten pretty good at figuring out where devices are in the home because we've got a few eeros. So you can ask Alexa, you can say, hey Alexa, tell eero to find Nick's iPhone. And she'll say it's either in my kitchen or up in the office or in the bedroom. I'm one who misplaces my phone quite a bit, and that skill's been really helpful.
Although, again, on the Alexa front, that's something that you're starting to see other companies starting to do. And I mean, so you talked about this idea of not just providing Wi-Fi, but like using that data. I mean, do you think that, I mean, particularly since you don't necessarily see a lot of those benefits until you've installed it into your home, like, is it going to be tough just from like a marketing perspective to get people to like know, what you guys are doing versus what everyone else is doing?
Yeah, I think it's we've already kind of had this groundswell with our early customers. We've got well over 2,000 product reviews out there. So a lot of this is just activating your very passionate customer base. And for the best products and the best brands, the biggest driver of growth and sales is not how many marketing dollars you spend, but it's word of mouth and how likely are people to rave about our product experience. Everything we've seen. We track our Net Promoter Score very carefully. After every feature, we see that improving and increasing and driving more and more referrals.
So for people who are either watching here and don't have an eero, or watching at home and don't have an eero, what would you say is sort of the one sentence of like why they should pick eero over any other Wi-Fi provider?
It's the easiest to use, simplest to set up, and we have this key promise, which the hardware is going to keep improving. We push software updates, almost every other week, and as this landscape changes, it's changing incredibly quickly. We're going to be the one that's going to keep evolving and improving the product, so you have the network you deserve within your home.
So we're at the beginning of 2017. You've had a product on market for almost a year. What's next for you?
Continuing to build great products for our customers and improving the product experience that we already have in the market.
Does that mean are you going to have sort of like distinct generations of the routers, or do you sort of kind of like blend all that together and it's really about sort of continuing to sort of update the software side?
We'll always keep updating the software, and there'll be a pretty interesting evolution of hardware. As we get a much better understanding of how people are using it and how they're performing in the real world.
And as you look ahead, I mean, one of the things I think about is, especially as you were sharing those numbers about the connected home, is that, when people were first talking about like Google Fiber, I thought like, how fast does like internet have to be? Because like, at some point, like, it does everything that I want reasonably well, although it wouldn't never say that at CES, but but then like, like the technology has sort of kept up with that, and then like that now we get higher and higher like forms of video, more and more devices being connected, and so the need for something like eero seems to increase. I mean, do you see that ever sort of stopping, or do you think that's just going to continue to accelerate?
Well, every time we add capacity in technology, whether it's connection speeds, memory, processing power, there's always new uses for it. So while you might not use a gigabit per second connection like every second of every day, we're going to have more and more devices in the home that need very quick, rapid connections, and that's where it'll be really interesting to see, how this whole landscape evolves.
Well, and I mean, because I think like especially again at a place like CES, we walk around and we see things that are amazing, and we're like, this is like the future, and there are things that are like
sometimes unlikely.
Yeah, and there are other things you're like, why are you doing this? No one ever asked for this. And I'm curious, I mean, do you feel like, in general, like, is the future that everything in our home becomes connected, or do you think there are some things where it's like, it's fine that like that our refrigerator is dumb, that my coffee pot is dumb, or do you think that, in 10 or 20 years, everything's going to be connected?
I think it's important to look at like what are the specific benefits. Connecting something to be able to control it from a phone isn't the end all be all. When you look at the home, being able to measure things, being able to measure how is the product performing, is it functioning as it anticipated, does it need to be repaired, how much energy is it using? That's where where the connected home is actually very valuable. And so while you might not need a connected refrigerator, if it's able to tap into energy prices and provide that information back so you can improve the product for future generations, that's where things become much more valuable.
Are you guys mostly US focused for now, or is this available internationally?
The product's only available in the US today.
Are there any plans to change that?
We'd love to be in as many markets as we possibly can.
Okay. Soon, or?
No specific deadline or timelines.
Fair enough. All right, Nick, thank you so much for joining us. Check out eero, everybody.
Thanks for having me.